All right, ladies and gentlemen, a big hand for Mr. Jerry Seinfeld.
See that salesman twirling that umbrella?
Uh-huh.
I invented that.
I want that ride, lady.
Help! Someone help!
Shut up, you old pig.
See, you know how to take the reservation, you just don't know how to hold the reservation. And that's really the most important part of the reservation, the hold. Anybody can just take them.
All right. Just let me finish my coffee. I'm watch him go slice this fat bastard up.
From my first day's meeting, Jerry as a stand-up, to him being creator, producer, and star of his own show, he's always had an amazing work ethic.
And if it was possible to create an 8th day of work for himself, he did.
Here's a guy who's really smart, really clever, a great observer of the human condition, and expressed himself in a very original, unique way.
On my block, a lot of people walk their dogs, and I always see them walking along with their little poop bags, which to me is just the lowest function of human life. If aliens are watching this through telescopes, they're gonna think the dogs are the leaders. If you see two life forms, one of them's making a poop, the other one's carrying it for him, who would you assume is in charge?
And you could see that was his strength. I mean, boy, was he great. And then when you throw him in the scene with the actors, you could tell it wasn't quite his element.
I felt that he was nervous as an actor, so I sort of felt sympathetic towards him. And he was funny as hell.
I know that we had a chemistry. I felt a connection to Jerry.
I had tons of fun with Jerry on camera and off camera.
Jerry has a lightness to him. You know, Jerry is very, I mean this in the best way, juvenile. You know, he's young. He looks at things, even his stand-up is a very youthful. I mean, to look at a newspaper and go, I can't believe if one more thing had happened, they'd have to do one column on a blank page.
It definitely didn't feel like, and no offense to him, but I didn't feel like he was my boss.
Jerry was always so even-keeled. He's always walking around. People say, what was Jerry Seinfeld like on the show? And I said, if you didn't know he was part of the show, you'd think he was a tourist, because he always stood around in the back. He would always stand around the back of the group there with his hands in his pocket, kind of looking up over the scene, kind of thinking of taking it all in, or he'd have the ever-present bowl of cereal that was there like that.
And if there was ever a crisis, that is to say, a script that was started out like crap and then they had to retool it, or a guest actor who wasn't good and had to be fired, or things that would rattle someone, he didn't seem on the surface to be rattleable.
And I would come on many shows nervous, because in sitcom you don't have much time to prepare. And all of a sudden, whomp, the audience is out there, and you're acting. And Jerry Seinfeld would always say, take it easy, don't worry about it, just relax, take it easy.
You know, when you're making a series, it's very demanding. And there were no distractions. He didn't, have a family or a wife, or even, for the most part, a serious girlfriend, really. And so he just lived and breathed the show.
Nobody knew better than I did his commitment. If you wanted to get a hold of Jerry on a weekend, you called the studio.
He called it being in the submarine, doing a year of shows like I'm in the submarine, and it was that kind of focus and determination, I think, that really made the show what it is, because it really did all revolve around his presence.
One of the keys to the success of the show was Jerry's total unselfishness and disregard for what he was doing, and wanting the others to have also great material, and not being threatened in any way, and just wanting the show to be as funny as it could be.
It would have been so much easier for him to massage his ego, to have actors around him who are not as good, so that he's not exposed, but he did just the opposite. He got those 3 actors who were brilliant, wonderful actors, to bring him up. And there's not many people in Hollywood who have the ego to be able to see through that and know that that's the best thing to do.
He just thought, well, it's going to be funnier if George says it, or funnier if Kramer does it, or funnier if Julia does it, and I'll be the straight man. And he was the straight man quite often.
What happened to my stereo? It's all smashed up.
That's right. Now it looks like it was broken during shipping, and I insured it for $400.
But you were supposed to get me a refund.
You can't get a refund. Your warranty expired 2 years ago.
So we're gonna make the post office pay for my new stereo now?
It's a write-off for them.
How is it a write-off?
They just write it off.
Write it off what?
Jerry, all these big companies, they write off everything.
You don't even know what a write-off is.
Do you?
No, I don't.
But they do. And they're the ones writing it off.
Reminded me of Magic Johnson, because he would be a great passer. He was, I love that, because I immediately flashed on Jack Benny, who had a show where everyone was funny around him. And it was still called the Jack Benny Show.
I think we were the premise of the joke, and then Jerry would come in with the blow. And that was his instinct for good stand-up comedy.
I gotta get out of this shit.
So you're tunneling to the center of the earth? And did they suspect anything?
No, it was a fantastic beard. I held hands, I called him honey.
And we discover yet another talent. Posing as a girlfriend for homosexuals.
You know, a lot of these scratches will buff right out.
Save your life! Save it!
No problem, no problem.
How did you know who they wanted?
And you want to be my latex salesman?
You know, you work on other shows where you have a funny run-through, and afterwards the star says, you know, I don't think it's working. And what they mean is, too many other people are getting laughs, and I'm not getting the laughs, and things get rewritten so that the star... And the amazing thing about Jerry is he wanted everyone to be funny.
He never had any kind of star attitude or diva attitudes that a lot of stars can succumb to.
Wow, the Emmys. This is exciting. And how great for all the nominees. Now, this year, in the Best Actor in a Comedy Series category, we have a new nominee, Michael J. Fox. He's great. And I think everyone's happy about it. However, to make room for a new nominee, sadly, tragically, someone else must be left off. We all love Michael J. Fox. I'm a big fan of Michael J. Fox. I'm a big fan of Spin City. He plays the mayor or something. I, on the other hand, play myself. And I guess last year, you people didn't quite buy me as me.
Well, Jerry's a performer, and he was always good in front of the camera. He wasn't an actor, and he didn't need to be because he was playing himself. And he did that very well, and I think as we went through the years, he became a good actor, but he still was Jerry Seinfeld.
How could I not successfully play this part? Who could say I didn't believe he was Jerry Seinfeld?
I know that Jerry has said that he doesn't believe he's an actor, but he plays close to himself, which a good actor can do.
It was always a lot of fun to see Jerry, you know, to be talking about a story with him, and then see him walk in front of the camera and not change his personality at all.
I called him Jerry or TV Jerry, just to delineate the difference, which was very minor.
Jerry wouldn't necessarily play anything sexy. He wouldn't necessarily play anything angry. He was more or less the observer with the sharp line, you know, the sharp retort.
He was kind of hosting the show rather than starring in the show.
At times, I mean, when you were working with him one-on-one, you'd say something, and all of a sudden his face would crack and he'd start to smile, which meant one thing. He wasn't thinking of something else. He was listening to you. And if you could make somebody laugh, another actor laugh,
you were in the same ballpark.
You're a comedian. You make people laugh.
I try.
You think this is all a big joke, don't you?
No, I don't.
I saw you on TV once. I remembered your name from my list. I looked it up. Sure enough, it checked out. You think because you're a celebrity that somehow the law doesn't apply to you, that you're above the law?
Certainly not.
Well, let me tell you something funny, boy. You know that little stamp? The one that says New York Public Library? Well, that may not mean anything to you, but that means a lot to me. One whole hell of a lot. Sure, go ahead, laugh if you want to. I've seen your type before. Flashy, making the scene, flaunting convention.
It was easy for Jerry to fall out of the scene. He would watch it as a writer and also as an audience member, which was such a delight.
No one enjoyed seeing Kramer be funny more than Jerry.
And I could see that glint in his eye. You know, I knew when he wasn't there.
Hey, there's no watch. What? I threw it in the garbage can on the street. I didn't keep good time. Jerry, you know, my face is my livelihood. You know, everything I have, you know, I owe to my face. My allure, you know, my twinkle.
You know, what? Your teeth are all brown.
No. Look away, I'm hideous.
Oh, mother of God.
No.
I love making Jerry Seinfeld laugh.
People totally identified with him enjoying his own show, because he clearly was.
I did something stupid.
What'd you do?
Well, I was shaving.
Yeah?
And I noticed an asymmetry in my chest hair. And I was trying to even it out. And the next thing I knew, gone.
And you can tell that he's laughing in anticipation of saying the line, during the line, and after the line, he's still enjoying the line.
Jerry and TV Jerry both laughed at his own jokes and everybody else's. Jerry loved anything funny.
According to your story, Hernandez passes you and starts walking up the ramp. Then you say you were struck on the right temple. The spit then proceeds to ricochet off the temple, striking Newman between the third and the fourth rib. The spit then came off the rib, made a right turn, hitting Newman in the right wrist, causing him to drop his baseball cap. The spit then splashed off the wrist, pauses in midair, mind you, makes a left turn, and lands on Newman's left thigh. That is one magic loogie.
As the episodes and the seasons went on, Jerry just got stronger and stronger. And by the time I came on board, he did great work.
After watching the show for a few years, I said, "You're getting more personal in your work now, and it really shows. I really like what you're doing now. You're not kind of enjoying it from the outside so much like you used to, and smile at what other people were saying, as Jerry, I said, "You're in it now, more." And he said, "You couldn't have said anything nicer to me." He really loved hearing that.
And I think it finally came to fruition on the chicken roaster episode where he had to come in a la Kramer.
I'm on no sleep. No sleep. You don't know what it's like in there. All night long, things are creaking and cracking, and that red light is burning my brain.
You look a little stressed.
Oh, I'm stressed.
He had to play something he had never played before, and he did it perfectly. He did that on the first take, and we were all very impressed with him. He did a great job.
At the end of the 6th season, Larry was going to leave, and everyone said, "Oh, he says this every year," and then he came back. And so at the end of the 7th season, he said he was going to leave.
And we had only been there the 2 years at that point, so we figured, well, apparently this happens every year.
And usually I would say, well, you'll see how you feel about it, all the while thinking, I'll talk him into it.
That was part of everybody's job. If Larry, is there any way we can make your life easier? Could we do more episodes or whatever? And it was always, no, because we all knew damn well the show was really coming from Larry and Jerry.
I just felt like, and I'd said it before, but now I just physically didn't want to do it anymore.
It was time for me to let him go off and do whatever he wanted to do. And because he had obviously given me everything, you know, a human being possibly could. Nobody could have worked harder and given more to a show than he did. So I was scared.
Season 8 without Larry was very difficult.
Because there's so much work to do, and Larry did so much of that work that it really seemed kind of overwhelming.
It scared a lot of us, you know, because Larry's George. And it's like George is going.
I wasn't quite sure how I was going to do it without him, but it felt like the timing wasn't right to end the show.
Jerry was starring, he was executive producing, so, you know, the show had to kind of become more of a committee type effort.
Jerry would handpick 1 or 2 of us, or 3 or 4 of us, to work with him.
So while one group of writers was working on that week's script, the next week another group of us were doing another one, and then whoever was left over was working on their own script.
The people rewriting the script would change depending upon the sort of chemistry Jerry was looking for in a particular rewrite.
You know, Larry and I were this great band together. We were like Simon and Garfunkel or something. And then I got to play in these other bands, you know. I would just take 2 or 3 guys and sit down with them in the office, and we would do the whole rewrite.
Sometimes it just seemed like Jerry's mood. He was in the mood for this guy's kind of comedy, or I've seen enough of that guy. Let's get her in here now.
I would kind of assemble these little kind of Delta Force squads of like 2 or 3 people that I thought had a good chemistry together, and I would work with them, and had a great time. And we did some really fun shows.
You did sense a different flavor with the episodes after Larry's left. They felt a little sillier, which was actually, in a sense, fun for us. There was a sense that the teacher was gone, now we could goof off a little bit.
It was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because I really became something I never would have become on my own, which was, I kind of had to grow up a little bit and say, I can handle this.
Jerry was confident. He felt pretty confident that he could do this. Look, knowing Jerry wouldn't have moved ahead if he didn't think we could have pulled it off.
You could see that he was very much the boss. That was more apparent. And I remember him saying it was always such a relief to come to rehearsal, because that was the fun part of the process.
I can't believe how Jerry did it, where he would be on the floor, starring, you know, producing down there, and then he'd be up in the writer's room too. It was really incredible.
I mean, he was great with story. He was faster than anyone, obviously. No surprise with jokes. So pretty much the only thing that he didn't do well was he wasn't the fastest typist.
You know, I remember there were days when we had to kick him out of the room.
Yeah,
you know,
Jerry,
because
go
look,
home.
it's
Jerry, go
11:30.
home.
You got to be on camera at 7 a.m. tomorrow. You're going to look like crap. Get out of here. Go. We'll just, you know what we're doing. You know what the scene is. We'll just finish.
At least once or twice in those 8th or 9th years, I noticed that he would at some point have dark circles under his eyes, which he had never had before. I mean, here's a guy, I don't think he had any bad habits. None, unless you consider buying Porsches bad habits. But he had no physical bad habits. He was a very healthy guy. And I just remember in those 8th and 9th seasons, a couple times, he looked tired.
The one thing I did was to save some time and energy was I dropped the stand-up, because I just couldn't possibly do that and do all the writing that I was doing.
All right, how about this one? Let's say you're abducted by aliens. Fine. They haul you aboard the mothership, take you back to their planet as a curiosity. Now, would you rather be in their zoo or their circus?
I gotta go zoo. I feel like I could set more of my own schedule.
But in the circus, you get to ride around on the train, see the whole planet.
I'm wearing a little hat, I'm jumping through fire, little alien heads in my mouth.
At least it's show business.
But in the zoo, you know, they might put a woman in there with me to
You know, get me to mate.
What if he's got no interest in you?
Well, then I'm pretty much where I am right now. Just got to take a ride on a spaceship.
We had a lot of fun that year.
Yeah, I think things went
And the
well.
bottom didn't drop out, and people were still watching the show, and we were still coming up with stuff that people were laughing about.
I actually paid real close attention the last 2 seasons because I knew the guru had left the show. I knew Larry David was gone. And I didn't notice any great fall off in quality before the finale. I really thought that it had sustained things very well.
I thought the 8th season was the bonus year, and that it would end after the 8th season. So the 9th season was a double bonus.
And that last one, I really felt like was really a gift to the audience, because I was really done after the 8th. But I decided to take a deep breath and try and do one last season, because the audience support that we enjoyed was just phenomenal.
I think after Seinfeld, everybody was looking for the next Jerry, but I think what people tend to forget is that he was a comedian and on the road for 15 years before his success as the star of his own show.
Jerry really put a bigger stamp on his show than most stand-ups have done.
I got to make use of the tremendous obsession that I had had with comedy since I was 5 years old, and watching every comedy film and every comedy TV show, and Dean Martin and Abbott and Costello and Get Smart. And I got to use all of that obsession. Even in stand-up, you don't get the opportunity that I got on the TV show to create things, and what if we did this or did that or whatever it is, the takes and the looks, and that's all learned from watching stuff. So I got to use all that useless information for a good purpose.
So what is the deal with the yard? I mean, when I was a kid, my mother wanted me to play in the yard, but of course she didn't have to worry about my next-door neighbor Tommy sticking a shiv in my thigh. And what's with the lockdown? Why do we have to be locked in our cells? Are we that bad that we have to be sent to prison? In prison? You would think the weightlifting and the sodomy is enough. So, anyone from Cell Block D?
I am.
I'll talk slower. I'm kidding. I love Cell Block D. My friend George is in Cell Block D. What are you in for, sir?
Murder 1.
Murder 1? Ooh, watch out, everybody. Better be nice to you. I'm only kidding, sir. Lighten up. How about you? What are you in for?
Grand Theft Auto.
Grand Theft Auto. Don't steal any of my jokes.
You suck. I'm gonna cut you.
Hey, I don't come down to where you work and knock the license plate out of your hand.